The Washington Wizards lose their 10th straight game, and they start the West Coast trip 0-2 over the weekend. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the lucky. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Your favorite team now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Wizards Daily Newsletter, a one-stop shop for the ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with all new free Locked On Wizards newsletter. Tonight's episode is sponsored by Prizepicks. Now's the perfect time to join. Download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. No need to win to get the bonus is guaranteed. Prizepicks. Run your game. And the Washington Wizards do go 0-2 over the weekend to start the West Coast trip. And tonight, they lose their 10th straight game, which is officially the halfway mark. It is the 45th, the 41st game of the season. So we are now officially at the midway point of the season with a record of 6-35. So first, we're going to recap last night's game versus the Golden State Warriors, and then we're going to go over tonight's game versus the Sacramento Kings, and then we're going to get in the comments and answer your questions and do like we always do. So let's get into it, AB. And again, let me introduce myself. This is your boy Brandon Scott again with my guy AB, man. So like I said, definitely appreciate you guys rocking with us at 11:30 Eastern time. So again, let's get through this thing, and we're going to start off with Golden State. Lord, last night the Washington Wizards did lose to the Golden State Warriors 122-114. And yes, JP13 did do his thing, but AB, was this game lost in the paint?
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking at it right now, B. Points in the paint, 24 to Washington to 58 from Golden State. I mean, it's just like, again, dominating the paint. And again, it was nice to see JP, against his former team dropping 38. We all know the history that he had there when he was in Golden State. But again, Andrew Wiggins with 31, 11, and 4. I mean, Steph's doing Steph thing, 26, 5, and 6. And Kevon Looney, he's a beast in the paint. So, again, just was a winnable game, first game of the West Coast trip. And it's just like a young team. Alex Sarr, I expect bigger things from him because, again, there's going to be better centers out there in the NBA when he is in year 2, year 3, year 4. So, obviously, it would have been nice to see a better performance just to him as individually. But, again, if you can't hold down the paint any NBA game, it's just hard to win.
Oh, absolutely. You got to hold down the paint. And that game was definitely lost in the paint. We were out rebounded 60-52. Then you look at other stats, what led to, which is 58 points in the paint. Also 23 second chance points. And the reason they had that many second chance points, because they were able to extend possessions. And that was from the 17 offensive rebounds we gave up. But I think the biggest thing to look at is, 15 rebounds by Jackson Davis, which he's kind of undersized compared to Alex. So that's one thing that's concerning because he's a guy who's kind of an undersized center. Yes, he can definitely score for undersized center because he scored 6 points. Yeah, not his best night of scoring, but 15 rebounds. So, and he's a guy that was actually drafted by the Washington Wizards, ironically enough. But looking at this game, I knew that JP coming in this game was going to be aggressive. I already knew against his former team. I know in post game he said that he's got love for everybody over there except for one person. I think we all kind of figure who that person is.
I don't know who that person is, B.
Who could that person be? Who knows, right? But I knew he's going to be aggressive. He was aggressive. 38 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, but shooting 12 for 25 from the field and 8 for 15 from 3. So his 3-point shot was rocking in Golden State, man. And then 6 for 6 from the charity strike. Other people that kind of stepped up was, Kyle Kuzma, the one biggest thing that people always get on him about is efficiency. He was efficient. 7 for 12 for the field, 3 for 6 from 3, 22 points. So he was definitely, he picked it up being that second fiddle to JP13. And like I said, they at times can be a really nice 1-2 punch scoring wise, as long as efficiency is the name of the game. And Alex Sarr 11 points, 9 rebounds, 1 block. So the starting five was decent, but I think the hallmark when it comes to anybody, Alex Sarr has definitely been ramping it up, but Bob Carrington, really good performance. 17 points, shooting 5 for 8 from the field and 4 for 6 from 3. So Bob Carrington, again, he needs to be a little more consistent, but the potential's there. It's not, obviously you can see the scoring potential with Bob Carrington, and Alex Sarr is definitely improving week in and week out. Now the biggest thing is with him is finding ways to get more active in the paint, but that will come with time. Now, Bilal, not his best game. 2 for 8 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, only 4 points and 6 rebounds, but the biggest thing with him was turnovers. But I'm not going to sweat the turnovers as long as he's aggressive, but just not his best night. And you really want to see B. Cool get a lot more aggressive because when you see him become more aggressive, you see that potential with him being a dog, that offensive weapon, what the future holds for him. I think he will be a very good offensive player. Now, earlier in the year, we thought he was breaking out. Do you still feel that way, AB, or do you think he's still very raw offensively?
And again, like going back to that beginning of the year, a lot of it was due to the fact that Kuzma was out, so his usage went up. And I just feel like if Kuzma gets traded or some of these guys that are gone, these vets, the usage of Bilal is going to go up. And I just think, again, it's year 2. So, yeah, there's a mix of raw, but I think he's ready to take that jump post trade deadline. And I wouldn't be shocked if he does.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you're definitely going to see a lot more offensive output after the trade deadline. Now, this is a question that both me and AB are going to ask and answer over the course of the next week coming up, man, which is, if you look at the trade market, like I said, I'm not going to get too deep about it. We've touched base a little bit about it, but we may not get the asking price, and there's a very real possibility you may see all 3 of these guys stay on the team. I mean, now you can argue with Kuz kind of the writings on the wall with his body language. I think he has unofficially asked out, and I think that they're going to try to find any kind of deal for him because I think that it's a combination of certain things, man. The losing fatigue. You saw the look on their faces on the sideline, man. I mean, the losing fatigue. I mean, the team is 6-35, AB, and they're clearly the worst team in the NBA. And it's tough because from a fan base standpoint, from an analyst standpoint, or / media standpoint, and even from these players, it's a tough pill to swallow to go through a rebuild. And you have to go through the growing pains, man. It's like raising a child, man. For any parents out there, I'm a parent. Look, kids are gonna make mistakes. They're gonna drive you crazy, man. There's gonna be times where you're like, man, why did I get into this? But then when you see them grow up and you see them come to fruition, you see them develop into adults and productive citizens, man, it's a beautiful thing. And especially when the first time your son pays for your bill, man, which almost made me cry the other day. But I mean, it's about the journey, but it's not fun to go through. And like I said, you got a rough road trip ahead, man. Like I said, you got the Lake Show, you got the Clippers. I mean, you got Dallas, and then you hit home. I mean, like I said, you're getting closer to the deadline. So, like I said, I think that it's losing fatigue. I think it's a combination, and the young guys. And like I said, I don't think there's any issues in the locker room. You see, obviously, Kuz has been very vocal, yelling at the young guys, and then Jordan Poole. It's kind of like the good cop, bad cop scenario. AB, like Jordan Poole has more of a nurturing type of certain way that he leads, and then Kyle Kuzma's like, yo, look, you need to get in your spot, man. Like you need to hurry up. So, not that either one's better than the other, because I think that everybody responds differently. But it's a tough situation. I mean, what can you really do if you're BK, AB? I mean, let me ask you real quick, man. Is this on AB? Is it, especially when you look at the fact that they don't move without the basketball? They're so dependent on the perimeter, and very often not is usually JV and 4 guys on the perimeter. Is the lack of ball movement, is the lack of player movement without the ball? Is that the coach? Is that the players? Or what do you think?
I think Coach Keefe reiterated. For me, I think he's reiterated so many times where it's like, hey guys, we got to play team ball. I understand the situation of this team where we have young guys trying to figure out where they fit in the timeline, but we're also trying to figure out these vets and their trade value. It's a mixture of a lot of things because, again, we'll see head scratching, shot making, or shot chucking, whether that's from Kuz or JP. But at the end of the day, the Wizards, like right now, it's just all about identity. And just, you mentioned the tough times. It is hard, but when you hit those good times, it becomes sweet because you remember all the sweat you put into it. And I know we keep reiterating, but we're Commanders fans. The Commanders are going to the NFC Championship, 1991. So again, it's all about trusting the process, and there'll always be a light at the end of the tunnel. And it's hard. It's hard every night. We always talk about the Wizards and how Kuzma did this JP inefficiency, but at the end of the day, one day, guys, it's going to be worth it. That's the reality situation. You just have to be patient.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. And I always use the Golden State Warriors as an example. And people got on me and say, well, they don't have players like they do on Golden State. But I mean, let's be real. When Steph Curry first came out of Davidson in the draft, people weren't looking at him like they do now. Let's be real. They knew he was a sharpshooter, but he was not looked at like he is now. Let's be real. So, and the same thing with Klay Thompson. You didn't expect him to be, a Hall of Fame talent, in my opinion, because he's going to go down as one of the best shooters in the league history. So, I mean, let's be real. The first 3 years after they drafted Steph Curry, they were trash. They were terrible. And then they had to figure out, they had to find out the hard way that him and Monte Ellis didn't fit. They had to make that one veteran move. And then they built through the draft. Everybody was homegrown. But when it was time for you to make that one deal, whether it was the Wiggins deal, whether it was KD, whether it was Iguodala, they had the draft picks and they had the clout to do so. So I think that's a good example of that. And Golden State is very similar in my opinion because it's not a small market, but they had a small market mentality for so long. So we're definitely heading in the right direction. Like I said, it's hard to go through the process. It's hard to go. It's hard, but I mean, you got to try to find the positive, especially when you look at young players. And like I said, Bilal, he needs to be a lot more aggressive. I mean, he's kind of slowed down, but I think he will pick it up, especially, after the deadline. And, Bob Canton, you see the glimpses offensively. Keyshawn George, you definitely see the glimpses offensively, even though he can't be a little too dependent on that three-point shot, but he's showing more and more he can do other things, such as rebounding, putting the ball on the floor and creating for others. And then Alex Sarr, he's gotten better every week. So we're heading in the right direction. But we're going to get into the 41st game of the season, tonight's game, as again, we're going to cover tonight's loss versus the Sacramento Kings, man. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Prizepicks. Basketball season is heating up, and there's no better way to get real money action while you're watching your favorite NBA stars than with Prizepicks. Whether you're a diehard fan or just love some friendly competition, Prizepicks makes it fun and easy to turn your basketball knowledge into cash. Here's how it works: pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. I'm gonna say it again: 1,000 times your cash. Easy money, right? Think LeBron's going to drop 30 points? Bet on it. Or maybe Luka's getting more than 8 assists? Bet on it. Prizepicks lets you make your predictions and put your money where your mouth is in just 60 seconds. Just a minute, y'all. And like I said, Prizepicks my go-to. I love Prizepicks because I love trying to predict stats, right? And try to look at, certain matchups, and it brings out the basketball analyst and basketball diehard fan out of me, man. So like I said, now's the perfect time to join. Download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. No need to win to get the bonus. It's guaranteed. Prizepicks. Win your game. All right, AB, let's fast forward to the present. So let's go over the nice game. Now, the Wizards tonight, same script. They lose to the Kings in Sacktown, 123-100. Now, rebounding, they were a little even, but tonight, I'm going to ask you, man, what's the biggest storyline tonight, AB? Was it Jonas Valanciunas putting in that good work off the second unit, or was the fact that the starters just were so inefficient tonight, man? What was it?
Yeah. Again, we know JV. He does what he does, double machine. We know what we can get from him, but again, just looking at the starters, inefficient, man. And again, you're coming off a game with the Golden State Warriors where put up somewhat of a fight, and then you go to Sacktown and just lose by 23. And outside of JV, there really wasn't much production. The next high score was Corey Kispert with 14, which is nice to see. We've been asking for Corey to be consistent. He's been doing these past couple of games. But again, with the Wiz, man, it's like offensively, if you can't score, and you already even up points defensively, it's like, how are we going to win games here?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to find some consistency to that culture mentality they're trying to build, which is, is Jekyll and Hyde. One game you see them fight. When you look at the Warriors game, it was a tale of two halves. They went into the half with a lead, and then they let off the steam a little bit. They let off the pedal a little bit in the second half, but they still fought. You know what I mean? You could tell that the Warriors made those adjustments, and the Wizards, to a certain degree, didn't, but they still fought. Now, when you look at this game, it's like, I mean, it was just a non-factor. I mean, looking at the first unit, I mean, Jordan Poole, not his best night from an efficiency standpoint. I mean, 4 for 11, 3 for 9 from from 3, and then 11 points. So, and then 6 turnovers. So it killed him. It really killed him tonight. He's got to deal with the turnovers, man, because he's the man at point. So, like I said, ball security has to be a priority. But like I said, it was just an ugly name. I mean, Kyle Kuzma, good Lord. 3 for 15 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3. I mean, 6 from 6 from the charity strike. So that's one moment. But 13 points. And again, you definitely expect Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma to be aggressive. But here's the thing. What is the first casualty of being aggressive? Efficiency. So usually when you're that offensive guy, it's going to come at the expense of efficiency. So while you can harp on both, I think Jordan Poole has definitely made strides in being more an efficient player. especially on offense, defensively a lot better. Kuz, we know he can score. It just is, the attempts and the inefficiency. He can be that reliable scorer. It's just the inefficiency comes to bite him. And there's times where he has been better, if more inefficient player. But it has to be consistency, man. I mean, we don't see any consistency, AB. And I mean, the starting five just look bad. I mean, Alex R, 6.7 rebounds, but 1 for 8 from the field, 1 for 5 for 3. I mean, with Sar, man, at what point do you try to get more active in the paint and stop relying on that jump shot when it's not dropping? You've got to find other ways to contribute. Yes, I love the 7 rebounds, but come on, man. Bub, slow, had a good game, 17 points, then goes to 6 points, 6 rebounds. Now, Bub has always been that, other than being that dog and in his offensive game, I love the fact that Bub gets in there and gets those boards, man. Him and Bilal, I love the fact they get in and get those boards. But again, Bilal, a better performance than in Golden State, but still only 11 points, 3 for 9 for the field, over 3 from the 3. So, yeah, AB, I mean, the second unit shine. 23 points, 12 rebounds by Jonas Valanciunas. And look, if you're looking at performance, he's the one guy who's going to be shopped and traded, I believe. Kyle Kuzma, I think, is going to be traded, but you're not going to like the package. But right now, I mean, do you see any scenario where we get a first round pick for Jonas, or you think it's just purely seconds? But he's playing at a high level, AB. What do you think?
Definitely, especially where in a case if you're a contending team and you want that, you don't have that big guy in the paint that you need, and you think JV could be the guy that could fill in that role. I don't see why not a first round pick. Realistically, though, I see a team giving up their seconds because, again, like the Wizards, they understand the situation here. It's a friendly contract, so it's going to be really interesting to see. But again, this whole trade deadline, it's just these next couple of days, there's all these reports. It's really going to alter the way the Wizards and how we view them. Because again, going into even a couple weeks ago, a month ago, we were saying that all 3 of these guys are possibly have them, all of them being gone. But now there's a possibility that all 3 of them might stay. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these next couple of weeks are.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, we are getting close to the trade deadline, man. And like I said, we will be going live on the trade deadline. By the way, let me do my little plug right there. But, we're going to be doing a lot of content going towards the deadline, man. But, I mean, Kuz, I think he's made it known unofficially. He doesn't want to bring any kind of friction, I guess. But I think he's asked out. I think that you keep it on the hush, man. But I think the Kuz has asked out. I mean, because you clearly see the body language. Not only it's not just him. I mean, the whole team's just going through losing fatigue, man. And the young guys are ready to start the youth movement because they know after the deadline, if they move on from a lot of these vets, man, they're going to get a lot more playing time. And look, you might as well get this chemistry started with these young guys because this young core, look, they're going to be on this team in 3 years. You know what I mean? So you want to build that chemistry now. But here's another question real quick, man. And like I said, we're going to look real closely to this within the next couple of weeks. But I mean, if by chance you don't get the package you want in return for Kyle Kuzma, what are you willing to ask him to do for him to be effective on his team if he stays on the team past the deadline?
That's a good question, B. And again, I guess, I mean, I don't want to be a teacher or anything, but maybe go into games and not look like you already defeated. Maybe I get being the whole because again, it all goes back to culture and identity. And how can we emphasize this to the young guys if the vets aren't following up what the identity is, the image that we're trying to portray here in DC? So it's a very interesting question. Again, Kuz's tenure in Washington, starting off, it was good. Like we liked it, man. We have the big 3 here in DC, and that was something that we all laugh at looking back at. But at the end of the day, Kyle Kuzma, the reality situation is he's not a number 1 option, not a number 2 option, at best number 4. And that's just, it is what it is. I mean, there's a reason why LA traded him. I don't know why people are shocked now that he's getting traded. It's just that's the reality of the NBA. And right now, the Wizards, he just doesn't fit the timeline.
I wouldn't quite say a big 3. I would say they were solid. It was a solid 3. But
no, I meant to put quotations mark. Yeah.
It's all good, man. I mean, look, I like Kuz, man. He's become a complete player. I like Kuz. Like I said, the biggest thing for me from the analyst, from the media side of things, is the fit on the team. He doesn't fit now. He did at one point. Right now, it's a rebuild, so he doesn't. But nah, man. I mean, like I said, there's been only one time where I was like, all right, come on, man. And it's that the whole Vogue thing. But I never cared about the fashion. All this other stuff, I could care less, man. I've always liked Kuz, man. I mean, but here's the thing: if he's, you have to shop him because you got to see what you have. And Bilal being that second fiddle, man, you got to give him more responsibility. And you see, guys are ready. It's time, in my opinion. But there is a very real possibility he could be retained. But in that case, man, I just want him to find ways to get other guys involved. And he's done it. Look, he's finding ways, his passing, his vision, he's definitely trying to get other people involved. Just the inefficiency, man. I mean, there's a time where if you know that your shot's not dropping, let set up somebody else to take that lead, and that's why I'm looking for Bilal. And we often talk about him and Bilal not clicking. That's where I think they can click if he's retained. I think he will be moved, but like I said, if he's retained, find ways to get Be Cool to be that next guy to pick up the slack if you're not having an inefficient night. Like it can't be, you can't have two guys being inefficient and not having that third or fourth guy stepping up, because then it's going to be an abysmal performance like night. And you're gonna get smoked by 23. You gotta have who's that's a real question, maybe, is who's gonna be that third or fourth option. And it has to be the next guys. And the guys I'm looking at is Bilal Coulibaly, aka Be Cool, and the Big Eiffel, man. We need Sar to get started, man. We need to see, and that's how you improve, that's how you develop, is taking the chance. If you see that Kuz is struggling, Bilal, be aggressive, get in there, get nasty. Sar, don't rely on that shot. If your shot's not dropping, find ways, use your back, spin, do something, find ways to get more active in the paint. So that's where I'm at, man. So again, we are at the midway point of the season. We're getting close to not only the trade deadline, but the All-Star game. And I'm, like I said, I'm 50-50 with the All-Star game. I'm thinking about going there this year, man. We'll see. I head out there to San Francisco, but I mean, this 10 straight loss. And they are starting a road trip 0-2. So like I said, we're going to get into the road trip, AB, because it is no rest for the weary. And so like I said, we're going to get into that and get into comments. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. For the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting, especially if you're a Commanders fan. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. Like I said, FanDuel, I love rocking with FanDuel, man, because like I said, the parlays, man, I found could be easy money if you really get into the stats and everything and pay attention. I'm a sports nerd, so like I said, I'm looking at the injury report. You got to be on your game, man, if you want to win money. But they give you ample chances to do so. Not only parlays, but over and unders. But don't take my word for it. Just visit FanDuel.com to join the day and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this season unforgettable with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. All right, AB, let's get into the comments, man. And it's been an interesting comment section from what I see. So we're going to try to get through this thing, man. So Locked on Law, as usual, kicks it off. Locked on Law, how you doing tonight? It says, this is Bull. You can kind of see what he's going. There is no excuse for shooting 37% for the field and 27% for three. Can't argue that, man. Can't argue that. He also goes on to say, if Valanciunas doesn't shoot 80% from field, the entire team's under 30% shooting. And that's what I'm saying, AB. Jonas Valanciunas in this stage in his career is not that third guy. I mean, if you're depending on JV to be that guy that takes, that picks up the slack for your first and second option. And there's nothing against JV, but I mean, let's be real. Most teams he's on, he wasn't the third option. I mean, he played his role perfectly in Toronto and New Orleans and Memphis. I mean, he played his role and he plays his role perfectly here. But the question is, and I feel like we asked this question last year and probably the year before, but who emerges as that third or fourth option? And that is the question. And we're looking at the two guys who are the central parts of the young core. And I'm looking at Be Cool and Alex Sar because I think they have the potential to step the game up and be more aggressive. But here's the thing, man. AB, I'm thinking we might have to take them out there to the black courts, man, out in Berry Farms, man. I mean, he's going to have to do it over the summer, man. I don't know. We got to find more aggressions and Be Cool, because I'm going to ask you real quick. I mean, you've seen AB when he's aggressive. He's a totally different player, man. I mean, is that the one lone part of his that can kind of unlock his offensive potential?
Oh, 100%. We saw it early on in the year. I mean, at one point, I think he was considered to be a candidate for most improved player. But when you saw that, man, the jump from year one to year two, just like very early on schedule, because again, I think you and I agree on this. We didn't expect this until year three. And it sucks because we saw those highs with Bilal at the beginning of the season, but now it's just like the inconsistency. We're kind of shaking our heads here. So again, Bilal, I mean, generally has the potential to be one of the top tier two-way players of this league. It's just with time, with the vets somewhat being gone, with his usage going up, hopefully, just time will tell.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I am with you on that. Indian says, laughing my butt off. We're really going to trade Kuzma for a bag of chips. I mean, I'll say this. Will Dawkins is not going to pull the trigger unless he really, really likes the trade package. And I mean, I guess that's one good thing to look at the front office. They're going to try to find the best package. But here's the thing. I mean, where's he fit? And you could argue, I'll say this. Do you have a clear replacement right now at the 4? Probably not. So could you realistically look to trade him in offseason? Yes, because if you get Cooper Flag, you got to start Cooper Flag if you draft him, man. And at that point, then you're looking at, man, we got to get off, Kuz. So I mean, like I said, Kuz he's done his job here in the district, man. I mean, there's no ill will on my side of things. Like I said, I mean, I like him as a player. I think there's no problems. It's just, but his thing is it's time, man. It is time. But you're not gonna like the package, man. I'm telling you right now, it's like the Bradley Beal situation. You're not gonna like the trade. You're not gonna like it. And I think that Will Dawkins has done a good job within reason with the situation he's been given with Bradley Beal, getting Jordan Poole, flipping Chris Paul. So like I said, I have confidence in the front office to figure it out. Bucket Getter says, boy, it was a pool party yesterday. All-star him. I believe he's played at an all-star level, but we all know that team performance is going to be the factor that's going to derail him. And he slid from 8th to 9th. He's definitely played at all-star level, but that's the thing. I said all the time, they need to have a representative from every team. Stop with the popularity contest because and make it. We got to follow baseball. Make the All-Star game where the winner gets home field or home court advantage. I'm tired of just everybody just laughing and giggling and shooting logo threes. I mean, I don't know why you even tune in for the All-Star game. I mean, that's what I'm kind of debating whether to go, man, because I don't want to, I want to see competitive. Let's see. Bucket Getter also says, always said everyone, including JP, are developing this year. Oh, absolutely. JP is still developing. JP's next step needs to be him being aggressive after big nights. Yes, thank you. Good point. Tonight in the Grizzlies game after his 40-point game are my examples. Perfect point, AB. I mean, I like that. He's definitely got to kick it in the high gear following big performances. So I definitely agree with that. Let's see. Lock and Law says, yeah, and Poole was absolute dog poop tonight. He can't play consistently, which is why he's not an all-star. I mean, that's a take. I mean, you can respect that. I mean, if you're going to critique him, really critique him, yeah, I could agree with that. Definitely want more consistency, but there was a string where he was consistent. I think there was a course over 5 to 7 games where he was, but like I said, to me, I think it's more of a factor of the overall team performance. But I mean, I do respect that. Let's see. Edian says, I think we should keep Kuzma after the trade deadline, let him improve his shots. Maybe then we can get maybe 2 seconds or a first. I mean, it's an interesting take too. I mean, you don't have a clear replacement. I mean, but to me, if Bags was healthy, maybe he could have been a guy that you plug at the 4 and see what you have long term. But with Bags being out, I mean, I don't know, AB, would you be comfortable with putting Champagne at the 4? I mean, moving on for Kuz, who would be your replacement at the 4?
Yeah, that's a good question, B. It's just, and again, like it goes back to the trade value and how much you get for him. At the end of the day, like what I want to see, as much as I want to see whoever plays at the 4, is just the development of the young guys. I think that's the reality of the situation, because obviously you get rid of Kuzma, you get that trade value, but you also have the potential to increase the usage for these young guys, and that's just something we're going to have to see if Kuz is traded.
Yeah, I mean, I think he will be moved. I think he's had enough, man. He's ready to move on. And like I said, appreciate your service, but it is what it is. JV, man, he's got some serious value. Brogdon is the guy where, look, the young guys can definitely use his leadership. So I think at this point, man, I don't expect him being traded. To be honest with you, his health, $22.5 million, man. If I'm an opposing GM, I'm very hesitant to bring on a player. Like I said, it's not a talent thing. I mean, Brogdon can play. Like, he's a baller. He's a former 6th Man of the Year award winner. I mean, this guy can contribute. So
I was going to ask you, when it comes to, I know we talked about the vets, but Saddiq Bey, like I haven't kept much with his injury. Like, is he just out for the whole year?
I think he will be available closer to like the final quarter of the season. But if I'm the Wizards,
is it even worth it? That's my question. Is it even worth playing him?
No. I mean, let him get 100%. I mean, where's he going to fit in? I mean, I would like to see where he fits in next year. Maybe he's replacing at the 4 if they go another decision in the draft. I mean, if you don't get Cooper Flag, maybe you could. I mean, Saddiq Bey, he could play. I mean, this is a guy who, he's an interesting player like JP, where if he really flips the switch, he could be a really good starter in this league. So I think he's got, he's an intriguing player long term. But obviously, you want to see, how much he can, where he's at following an ACL injury, because, like I said, an ACL injury is not a death sentence per se, but it depends. When you look at the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, man, he ain't the same guy. He's the same thing Kirk Cousins, look at the NBA, KD, it ended up being relatively the same player. So it really depends. Let's see. W Mans was good. He says, if I'm Vucevic, I'm pissed off. That is, as a player, as a second-year player, I got 0 shots at 4 minutes of play, especially having to sit for months following his 10-game stretch in March. I agree. I mean, they have to, in the second half of the season, AB, they have to see what they have in Vucevic. You might as well. You drafted a kid. I mean, you got to see what you have in him, man. That's what I'm saying. Might as well get JV or Rashawn Holmes or even both contracts off the books, even though you can argue why they would retain one of them. But you have to see what you have in Tristan Vucevic. I mean, in the second half of the last season, he looked good. So I agree 100%. W Mans also says Bilal ain't getting no plays ran that utilize the athleticism and ability to cut to the basket. Yeah, I think it's half and half. Yes, I do agree with that assessment. But I also agree that Bilal has to be more aggressive because, like you said, there's no shade, man. Bilal, when he flips that aggressive button, he is a dog. He's a dog, man. I mean, you see it on the defensive end, but there's times where I think he questions himself a lot, man. And you see that with young players, especially young players who are very close to making that breakout. You know what I'm saying? He questions himself a lot. And it kind of echoes what Edian says. Bilal's losing confidence. Not even trying to shoot threes. He's questioning himself. He's second guessing himself. And I think that, like I said, you see that with younger players, man. No matter, like Brian says, is Valanciunas' trade stock going up? Absolutely. Yes, sir, it is. I mean, he's been productive. You can argue he's been by one of the most productive players on the team. I mean, he has showed up, man. He has showed up. All right, guys. Like I said, we had 31 minutes, Mike. The 31-minute mark. Okay. Let's see. Johnny Levy's started some noise. Oh, says Denny is the Bulls' daddy. 2012, 3-3, trading him. My lord. I'll say this in hindsight, man. Right now, it was a win-win trade for both parties. Denny was able to be in an environment where he can kind of thrive. You see that now. And Bob Carrington, I think, is going to be a valuable piece of this core going forward. You got another first-round pick. Malcolm Brogdon, I think, is going to do a good job being a mentor. So it's going to be a win-win in both parties, man. I think the ship is sailed. I'm not even going to look back at that move. It is what it is. Let's see. Brando72 says, will they win 10 games this year? What an embarrassment. I mean, that's a legitimate question. But like I said, I'm ready for the rebuild. It's just, I will say this, AB. I will say this, okay? Yes, I got my seatbelt on ready. Seatbelt on and I'm ready, okay? But I need to see some improvement next year. Okay, year 3, you need to see some progression. So while I'm still in the mode of wait and see, year 2, hitting into year 3, man, we need to see some improvement. Especially Bilal, man. You're going into year 3 is expecting that you're going to have the breakout campaign, in my opinion, especially now that we know that what he can do when he's more aggressive. The CW man says, B Scott, give me honest thoughts on what happens with Vuk. Are they just sitting him to ensure a tank? Or do they want to just keep their gyms as polished as physical possible? I like that. The gyms polished. Look, man, that's a bar. I'll say this. I'm rolling with the polished gyms. I think that they're going to wait till the second half of the season to start working them into the rotation. But you have to see what you got in Vucevic, man. You have to.
There's nothing. You got nothing to lose. That's one thing I'll never understand is especially when you're a young team, whether it's NBA or NFL, whatever major league sport is. If you're a team that's clearly not contending in the playoffs, there is no harm in playing your young guys because there's just no expectations. There's nothing to lose. You just got to see what you got.
Look, I agree 100%, man. Like you have to see what you have. You have to because especially once you hit in the second round, like you know what I mean. This is the first time a second round pick has actually showed up. I mean, the last time on the milk carton, man, I don't even know where they're at. Like one guy's in Spain, the other guys, and I see Dagestan being on here, so he's one of them Dagestan, out there, man. So like I said, shout out to Dagestan, man. But let's see, we got a few more questions we're gonna cover real quick. AB, W Man's again. He seems to be the hot streak tonight. Says love asking Brandon 5 legitimate questions that don't get read because he wants to waste 2 minutes to talk about the reality of Kuz's value. Can you please talk about the reality of what's going on? Okay, fair enough. So I respect that. Equal plays, and so we go from the opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to comments. Equal plays says the first time tuning in. Love you, man. Time to capture the flag. Absolutely appreciate you tuning in, man. Like I said, comes into the next comment. He says that he's a long time listener. Definitely appreciate you. Listen to the podcast every day. Love you, dog. Appreciate it. Mutual, man. Got love for you, brother. Definitely appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen, to watch, whatever, man. Definitely appreciate you, man. Let's see. Blimey01 Manor says Poole is one of my favorite players, but man, is he a bonehead sometimes. You got to respect certain things about Poole, but there's times where he's like, why shoot that shot? And then he hits it. It's like, oh, I can't say anything. Like he lets that 3-point shot roll, man. And he hits him. And it's just it gets to you. It's like, oh man, because when you see the shot go, it's like, oh man, no, and then he hits it. So I'm with you. I mean, you got to respect the aggressiveness. To me, yeah, the play on the court has impressed me about JP13, but that is not it for me. What impressed me over the course of this season and last season was, especially looking at last year, man, his ability to deal with the noise, zoning the noise, kind of tuning the noise out, put his head down, and keep working, man. And then this year, it shows that he put some work in the off season. If you want to be the best, you have to be the best, man, and you got to beat the best. And so, I mean, he put the work in. That's all you can ask for a guy that wants to be a part of this team going forward. Now, obviously, look, the better he gets, the more attention he's going to get on the trade market. Like I said, Denver did ask about him and JV, and he's going to be the first of many teams. So, like I said, the Wizards are in a situation where they have players where they could be long-term pieces, and they have players where they can turn around and can get some assets back in return. Because if you go in the next year and he has another all-star campaign where he's playing at that level, especially once you get to the point where after his contract, that third year, that final year of JP's contract, AB, brings up an important question, because after that it allows up for that extension. So the contracts, you got to, kind of look at things differently. But, over the course of the next couple of years, we've got some choices, man. So let's see. Definitely appreciate everybody, man. Shout out to W Mans, keeping it real. Like I said, gotta appreciate it. And let's see. Yep, guys, we're gonna go ahead and call it a night. So real quick, let's look forward over the course of the week, because like I said, this week coming up. And let me say this, we're going over the schedule, and then I'm gonna say something real quick. But let's see. Yep. All right, here's the schedule real quick, guys. Tuesday, at the Lakers is a turn 30 game. So we're probably looking at, we're looking at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to go live. So definitely appreciate anybody who wants to rock with me, man. I'm not going to hold it against you if you don't. Thursday night, same thing. The schedule got changed. So 10:30 at the Clippers. So Tuesday and Thursday will be 1 o'clock in the morning the next day going live. So like I said, definitely appreciate you guys rocking with me through the good and the bad, but I definitely would understand if you didn't come in. Maybe I definitely want you to, like I said, but I would understand, especially if you got to work the next day. And then next Saturday, they're at Phoenix, so we'll definitely do that on Sunday next week. But like I said, me and AB are going to get into the trades talks, man. So we're definitely going to look at everything trades, man, over the course of the next 2 weeks. Now, let me say this. There has been changes to some content that I was supposed to put out there, guys. JP, due to the day I was supposed to do his interview, he had a last-minute meeting with the Players Association. So he kindly asked that we switched that after the road trip. So look out for that interview. Like I said, I'm going to put it out on the newsletter. And like I said, we're going to use it for an episode. So like I said, definitely shout out to JP13 for just taking the time out to do an interview with your boy. And we weren't able to do it because, like I said, last minute change. So like I said, and then couple looking at Deontay, trying to get him on the show next couple of weeks. Everything's scheduled. So same thing with Real Ed Oliver, man. Definitely looking forward to Ed back on the show. Like I said, it's been a scheduled thing. So you guys know, like, especially with the holidays and, busy with work, man, trying to find the schedules and things come up. So like I said, I'm always trying to find good content and get these guests on the show. So definitely appreciate everybody. Rock with your boy. All right, let's get off here, man. Definitely got to get everybody to sleep. Get ready for work tomorrow, man. So all right, everybody. We will see you tomorrow night. Let's talk about some trade talks, man. Hail to the Wizards and peace. See you guys next time.